Hi friends, good afternoon. Hello, I'm Ea. I'm here in La Union. This is Kalawakan Interviews, IG Live, hosted interviews by daloydanceco, Daloy Movement. Sinisinok ako, but hi! Today, we are interviewing Christopher Leward, a good friend of mine, a mentor, a pandemic friend, someone whom I've connected with deeply during the pandemic and this lockdown. And I'm so excited for you guys to meet him. He is currently based in Thailand. He has studied a lot of meditation practices and philosophies, trauma-informed meditation, guidance for people who need it, who are undergoing stress, anxiety, and all of that. Ay, I love my filter. Puro clouds. So sige, let's just wait for him to come through. Uh, and yes, we are about to start. Hello, hello. If you are joining this chat later on, you can send in questions for Christopher. And we are really focusing on loving kindness and compassion for today, as these are two values that, of course, for most of us want to cultivate more, especially during turbulent times. And I just really honestly feel that Christopher is someone we could talk to about this and just get to know him more, delve deeper into his meditation practice, give us 3 tips or advice for those of us who are curious about meditation but haven't tried it, feel that it's intimidating. And so, okay, here's Christopher. Without further ado, let's do it. Let's go live with. This IG Live will be available also on Dalai Movement and my IGTV. Hi, Christopher!
Hey, yeah.
Yes!
Nice to
Oh
see
my
you.
God!
Can you hear me okay?
So good to see you. Yeah, I hear you well and I see you well. How about my voice and audio? Is it good?
Yeah, perfect, perfect.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
seeing the
Thanks.
clouds.
Thank you. You're glittering. Yeah.
I chose
Nice,
a
nice
specific
touch.
filter that, I hope is related to our topic today, which is meditation and
Mm,
peacefulness and loving kindness.
yeah,
Ah,
lovely.
mm.
Sorry, I
How are
wasn't ready
you? How have you been?
for I'm good. I'm good actually. I wasn't ready for Instagram, so I'm holding up my phone so that you can see me okay. 'Cause yeah. So, but anyway, never mind that. I'm here. I'm good. I'm well. Yeah. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and chat with you live. Yeah, it's great to be here. So
You're
thanks.
right now
Thanks.
in Thailand.
I am. I'm in Chiang Mai in northern Thailand. It's beautiful here. The smoke is finally cleared and things are nice. It's lovely. Yeah, lovely day in Chiang Mai.
Wow. Well, Christopher, can you give us a little bit of a background? How did you become this meditation practitioner and teacher for, about 30 years, studying all that you've studied? Was there a turning point in your life, and yeah, just a little bit of a background.
Mm. Yeah, sure. Thank you for asking that. Yeah, as you just mentioned, I've been practicing now. I guess it's almost 36 years. Um, so I got turned on to meditation when I was quite young. It was a really great resource for me. I had kind of a challenging childhood, one might say. So I was really fortunate to run into the contemplative practices in particular. At that time, I was really interested in Zen Buddhism. I was 13. Uh, and I became very intrigued with all kinds of different meditation practices at that age and all through college, high school and college. Um, but it wasn't until I happened to be living in New York City in Manhattan when September 11th happened in 2001. And that was really the turning point for me. I I had been practicing that by that time over 15 years, and but I recognized that having gone through that experience, and then the months after, in New York City, the recovery period for New York and the world, really, I made the decision that I wanted to learn contemplative teaching so that I could offer them to others with the hope of cultivating a more kind world, a more compassionate world. So disasters like September 11th, it wouldn't only be, it would just be unthinkable if people could come together and see beyond their differences and come together as a people. So that's the thrust, and it still remains the thrust today behind my teaching, is that to try to bring people together as one so that we can stop fighting. Yeah.
Salamat for sharing that. I just want to quickly share that I met Chris in one of his talks last year that is hosted
Mm,
by Zara, who is this beautiful Reiki master based in Cebu and is also a mentor,
mm,
a spiritual coach and guide. And she held these interviews, and that's, via Zoom, and that's where I met Chris. And immediately I was like, this is a peaceful guy. I think I want to learn meditation now after,
mm,
hearing this person. So, um, like the I feel like I want to make this, interview a little bit more informational, especially for those who are wanting to meditate, have been curious about meditation, that it's this, thing, this activity that could bring them peace or harmony or lessen their stress, especially during these times. Would you
mm.
tips or advice to anyone who's curious about meditation but is intimidated by it?
Mhm. Yeah, sure. Well, thank you. It's such a great and important question, particularly as you mentioned for these times, to have a practice. And as I mentioned too, it really was my guiding force, through my own challenges and remains to be so, even today. So I know firsthand how important it can be if one can have a good, solid meditation practice. It makes such a difference in times of stress. It's a great antidote for stress, tension, any kind of upset, things like that. So yes, I do have three tips, more than three, but I'll give you my favorite three, the top three, the greatest hits. uh, so what I generally tell people first when they first come and see me working one-on-one is to start within the comfort zone. And so and really to almost exaggerate the comfort zone. So the idea for the first month or so of starting a meditation practice is to make it a daily practice. That's the goalpost of the first month. And so one can do that by setting a timer, and I do recommend getting a timer. It really helps. And there's a great app, the Insight Meditation Timer. It's really easy to use. The bells sound great. There are some guided meditations on there. I've never used them, so I can't speak to the guided meditations there, but the timer works really well. So getting a timer helps. Set it for maybe 3 to 5 minutes, and that's it. Because generally people don't meditate because they say that they don't have time. But everybody can find 3 minutes. It's just, it's really hard to come up with an excuse why you can't sit down and feel your breath and watch your mind for 3 minutes. So I often tell people, 3 to 5 minutes every day. Now, if that feels too short for a consistent amount of time, like too short for a week or 10 days, then bump the timer up to maybe 7 to 10 minutes. If it feels too long, that's fine too. You can even make it 1 minute. I have one student who, very high power corporate lawyer, very, very challenging schedule. And so when we were getting started, she would go to her cushion and just take 3 breaths. That was all she had time to do. But it made a difference. And now she's meditating every day for like 20 minutes. And so just to have the momentum of doing it every day. That's really the first goalpost. So that's my number one greatest hit. Make it as comfortable and easy as possible for the first month or so. Um, yeah, because you never want it to become a chore.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's the key because it's so easy to find an excuse not to do it, at least in
Yeah.
the first month. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Uh,
that's right. I love
Go
that. I
ahead.
love that, you know, making it just, you know, 1 minute, 3 minutes of just finding your breath, being a little bit
Hmm.
still and relaxing your mind, watching your mind. Yeah, 3 minutes is so doable. 3 minutes is like, you know, we're watching a short Instagram TV or video or a TikTok video.
Sure.
So 3 minutes, wow,
Mm.
yeah, and it feels like that's true. I mean, the times before in the past that I'm like, you know, I'm gonna commit to a meditation practice, I gotta relax. I'm in that mode. Like, yes, we're gonna, you know, we're gonna have self discipline and commit to meditation. And then I go, and it's hard to sustain because on the seventh day, it's like, it feels like it's a chore, like it's hard, like it's a should, and
Mhm.
so yeah, I
Yeah,
love what you
right.
said. Make it really,
Mm.
really comfortable.
Yeah, very important for the first. I think that there are some studies now that have come out that say 21 days to start a new habit. And you know, I think that pertains mostly like fitness training. That's where I've read those kind of studies that pertain to fitness training. I think it's the same for meditation. You know, if you can do it 21 days in a row, even if it's just for 3 breaths, then the habit gets started, and from there you can build on that. You know, so I think that's quite important. Yeah, yeah. The second thing that I tell people on the list is to focus on the technique, focus on the method and not the results. So this is really pretty important as well, because when we get, you know, when our mind starts to focus on the results of a particular practice, like following the breath, right? Very typical meditation practice. You know, but we might follow our breath for like 3 minutes and we get up and we still feel stressed out, right? Or we get up and our mind is just racing still. And so then we start to think, oh, you know, I'm not good at this, or I'm not made for meditation, or I can't meditate. You know, the minds can start to go down that path, and that's not conducive to meditation practice at all. And when people go down that route, it's usually a sign that they're focusing on the results rather than the method used to get to the results. So when people come to me with those kind of issues, I often tell them, okay, just do the practice. Don't worry about what the results are bringing right now, because you know you can't really judge the results of a meditation in the first few weeks. You know, it generally the results aren't what we expect anyway. You know, and so somebody when they say, "Oh, I can't do this," or "My mind is too distracted," or things like that, that's like me going to the gym and looking at my arms and saying, "Oh, why aren't my arms big yet?" Right? That means I'm focusing on the results rather than focusing on the method to get to the results. Right? So the method would be there in that case, lifting weights. Right?
Yeah,
So if I go to the gym and then I lift some weights, and then my arms aren't getting any bigger after 3 weeks, well then maybe I'm not lifting heavy enough, or maybe I'm doing something wrong. You know, and it's the same with meditation. If you know you're judging each practice, oh, the mind is too distracted today, oh, that wasn't a good practice, you know, then you're you know that's a sign that the person is just expecting their arms to be big by looking at them rather than doing the proper method,
yeah,
like that. So yeah, staying in the present moment, you know, doing the practice in the present moments, and then as soon as the bell rings, whether it's a minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, as soon as the bell rings, stand up from the practice and go about your day. Don't worry about what the results are.
yeah,
You know, a fair gauge is to, you know, mark the day that you start your practice, and then a month later or 3 months later, look back on your life and see if you're relating to your life in a different way. That's a really healthy way of shopping for your meditation practice, you know, making sure you're getting the benefit out of it without judging it every day like that. So that's quite important too.
Wow,
Yeah.
I love that. Just doing the practice without judging it based on like
Hmm.
being so caught up in the results or am I there yet? You know, that sort of thing. And just,
Yeah.
yeah, that is helpful.
Oh, good. Yeah. And there's another side to that too that I should probably mention now that I'm thinking about it. The other side is that we can get caught up in, having a good practice, and then we think that's how the meditation should be all the time, right? We have like a couple of days, 2 or 3 days that feel really good. The mind is very peaceful, and you
You
get up and
find
you feel
bliss, you
great.
find nirvana, you feel so
Right.
internally harmonious.
And that's all wonderful. And those experiences can really help to fuel the practice for more meditation, and that's good. But the danger is if we're judging each practice, the danger is we'll consider that to be the goal. And then we'll keep striving for that type of practice over and over again. And then we lock our practice into a box. We never get the chance to grow beyond that goal. We might keep making that goal, and that might keep feeling good, but meditation is really the path is really quite infinite. And so to release it from that box, and again, if it feels good, great, the bell rings, stand up and go about your day. Don't think too much about, oh, that was a good practice, so I should do that again tomorrow, or things like that, because that keeps you locked into one outcome over and over again. That's exactly what meditation is designed to allow us to break free from, is that repetitive pattern. So,
Wow. This
yeah.
is that there's a lot of good information about meditation because for those who are exposed to it, there's almost a judgment that it should relax you. Like it's this quick fix for relaxation, and immediately you're
Mm,
stress free. And
yeah.
it's nice to see it from this perspective that it's a process, that it's something you want to grow with, you want to grow into
Mm.
over time, and I really like that.
Oh,
Oh,
good. Yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, these are all tips that I found very helpful too in my own practice. And that's why I offer them to others, because I know the pitfalls myself. So yeah, I did have a third one, and that's very quickly too. I find it very helpful, and I'm probably biased because I'm a meditation teacher, but finding a teacher is really helpful. It's like learning a language or learning an instrument, or learning how to dance, any kind of technique like that. Having an instructor that has walked the walk and done, has been on the path for a while, is really helpful. And, and nowadays in the 21st century, there's, all kinds of videos and instructional, you know,
YouTube, all
recordings and apps. You can set out on your own, and you can do okay. But it'll only take you to a certain point. And then having that one-to-one relationship with a teacher, so valuable. I mean, for me too. I mean, I have a teacher too still, and that relationship is, yeah, it's priceless. To have somebody who can really point out, the subtle, or not so subtle sometimes, missteps that you might be taking on the path, and kind of, guide you in a better way. Yeah, very, very important.
there. Now it's back.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, there. Now it's back. So for those of you who
Great.
are, just entering and all of that, just bear with us if there's some technical difficulties with the video or audio. If ever we have to reset, we'll save this video as part one, and then we'll get in again. Then we make,
Mm.
part two a continuation. Wow. Oh, wait. Let me just absorb all of those beautiful information, Chris. I just want to say
Mm.
hi to everyone. Siza,
Sure.
Michelle, Andre, those who are in the comment section. We will have time later on for any of you who are sticking here to ask questions to Christopher. Um, Chris, how about which type of meditation? So there are 100 types and different
Mm,
kinds of meditation. How
yeah.
would we know what suits us?
That's a great question. And you know, it does take a little bit of shopping around, and I do when people are first getting started, I think it's really valuable to do some shopping around, search the internet, do a lot of internet searches, try some practices out from different teachers on YouTube, find something that really resonates with you. It really helps if somebody knows why they want to meditate. And that can be, a nice exploration in itself. So somebody can actually go and sit in a quiet place and just ask themselves over and over again for 10 minutes or so, why do I want to meditate? Or what is my journey about? What do I hope to accomplish through meditation practice? And maybe write it down and then do some YouTube searches and see, if there are teachers that match, that are offering things that match what's on that list that was created there out of that exploration, and go from there. Try to contact most teachers who have YouTube videos and books out. They also teach one-on-one. So send out some emails if you find somebody that you resonate with, and go from there. Yeah.
Um, I would like to, uh, I mean, just to let others in,
Mm, sure.
I've sent Christopher some list of like questions. It's like we're gonna flow through this question in this interview, and now I'm just like I have more questions. I want to ask you. I
uh,
guess my
good.
question, because I also know that I'm seeing a lot of names now in the chat, and I know that
Mm,
most of these friends of Daloy, friends of mine, they're teachers. They're holding space,
mm,
for movement, for meditation, for mindfulness, or they're into care work. They're into that kind of work
mm,
where they hold space for other people, for their wellness, etc.,
mm,
etc. As a teacher of meditation, and you've been doing this for 30 years, but up until now you still have your own teacher. um,
mm.
how important is it, to be doing a certain practice and still continue a relationship with a mentor? What are your thoughts on?
Oh, um, I think, as I was saying, I think the student-mentor relationship is really valuable. I'm really happy that I have a teacher still. I've changed teachers over the course of the 30 some odd years that I've been practicing. I've changed teachers a couple of times. Um, but I think that yeah, I think I'll have one forever, I imagine, Um, and I get a lot out of that relationship. Uh, yeah, somebody who I can kind of see the teachings rather, uh, are being brought to life by somebody else. So I know what's possible, and I think for me that's really important. Uh, I think if somebody really wants to take meditation seriously, and to get the full benefit out of a practice, I think a teacher is necessary for that. I don't see how, and just like learning a language, as I said, like I don't think somebody, can become fluent in a language unless they immerse themselves in that language and the culture from which that language comes from. And in meditation, that's how it's done primarily, is through a teacher. The teacher can really help you with, providing materials, providing teachings, immerse yourself in that culture of that teaching, and really get the most wisdom out of it possible. For me, that the teacher has always provided the access for that.
Wow. I've one of the things I'm curious about is and by the way, congratulations! You recently, have more finished more courses on
Mm,
meditation
I
and
have.
and certification, especially
Mm,
something that I really, really like is trauma-informed meditation. Can
yeah.
you talk to us more about that? What made you interested in that course? What makes
Mm,
it different from, the other courses that you've taken?
yeah. Well, I became interested in it because I started to recognize that there were people coming to me for studies had trauma, who had trauma and were struggling with trauma. And I knew for myself that meditation because I had PTSD after the event, September 11th. I struggled with post-traumatic stress disorder for some time after that. And primarily the healing modality that helped me the most was meditation and different meditation practices. But that being said, I had already been practicing for, I guess, close to 17 years when September 11th happened. So I had a really strong foundation and a very serious practice at that time. And even then, some of the meditation practices that I was doing after September 11th became inaccessible to me. There were just blocks, emotional blocks, defenses that were up, and they weren't getting at the trauma like I thought they ought to. So trauma-informed mindfulness is a series of techniques that allows one to peel away the natural defenses that come up when somebody is struggling with trauma. Because we go into that fight, flight, or freeze response when we experience a traumatic event. That's the natural response that the human nervous system, you know, we go down that road, fight, flight, or freeze. Post-traumatic stress disorder is when those responses get stuck in the nervous system and it just gets on loop. And so that when that happens, more often than not, when that person just experiences just a little bit of stress or tension, that can trigger a, a, a cycle of fight, flight, or freeze. And so that, you just kind of shut down. And so meditation, unfortunately, for many people who have trauma and traumatic stress, meditation itself can be rather triggering for that. And so when, post-traumatic, or I'm sorry, trauma-sensitive mindfulness, when we train in that, we're given a series of techniques that help, I think of it as peeling back, as I said, peeling back the wounds of trauma so that the mindfulness technique can actually get into the system so that it can start to help alleviate the fight, flight, or freeze, the energy that's stuck in the nervous system from that response. So just to kind of touch on that, when we have traumatic stress, the fight, flight, or freeze response elicits an enormous amount of energy. And then it gets trapped in the nervous system. It keeps spinning around in the nervous system, and it has no way of, releasing. And so sometimes it gets released accidentally, but the majority of that energy remains in the nervous system until either a trauma therapist or some other way of releasing that trauma becomes available to that person. And so mindfulness can work that way, but it just takes a skilled practitioner to offer mindfulness in a way that's not re-traumatizing like that. So that's what's involved in that course.
That's
Yeah.
very, I think that's very, very informative that, there could be teachers out there that mean well, like really mean to like, but then, if they're not skilled enough, um,
Mm-hmm.
the practice itself could re-traumatize
Yep.
those who are coming to them for help. That's
Yeah.
so, that's so good to
Yeah. It's
know.
really important. It's really important because at one time, when the whole mindfulness movement was really picking up steam in the world, it was thought to be this miracle cure. And in many ways, it still is. In many ways, it's a great healing modality. It's a very, very powerful healing modality. So I don't want to underestimate the value of mindfulness practice. But there now we know there are many, many documented cases of people with trauma getting re-traumatized by going on meditation retreats without proper facilitators who know how to navigate trauma and things like that. So it can happen. And right when the trauma sensitive mindfulness course starts, and by the way, if those of you who are interested, the person to look up is name is David Trelevin. He's really codified the whole trauma sensitive mindfulness movement. He's got some wonderful. He's got a great podcast out and some really great resources on his website. When I signed up for that course, the first thing in the course is you commit not to do harm, to do as little amount of harm as possible, and that's really the commitment that we make when we enter that course. And that's why we study, is so that we're cultivating the tools so that when we go forth and offer these practices, being sensitive that there could be trauma in the room, we might not know it. And so moving with that knowledge that, okay, there's probably somebody here, maybe one person, maybe 5 people, maybe everyone, but to know that there is most likely some form of trauma in the room, and to be able to move in an educated way to help everyone, not to leave anyone behind, and not to cause any harm or re-traumatize people. Thank you for asking. It's such an important question, something that's very passionate to my heart, because like I said, I suffered from PTSD myself, and I know that can be really a tricky path out of that. Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. I have a question on my list of many lists. But I think
Ask
this is my
away,
last
yeah.
question. Then, anyone in the room, please type
All
in your
right.
questions, and
Mm,
Chris will have time to answer maybe 3 questions. But for now, I'd like to ask you, Chris. So there are many different types of meditations, but something interesting, really interesting that you're offering is loving kindness
mm,
meditation. What is the difference there, and what exactly is that?
mm. Well, it's the Sanskrit word for the practices is metta, and it does mean loving kindness. And it's not loving kindness in like a romantic kind of way. In fact, we're taught when we teach loving kindness, or when we practice loving kindness, not to use a romantic partner for the focus, because romantic love and unconditional love for the world are very different experiences. And so the meditation of loving kindness is designed so that we can be more open and more loving, more generous, more giving to those people around us. But it starts with ourselves. And I think that's really important to note. So the practices of loving kindness, we start by extending loving kindness to ourselves, self-care, self-love, like that. And something that's so needed nowadays, right? Because so much stress and tension around. So I found that first stage of the loving kindness practice to be so helpful in this day with the lockdowns and everything, the stress. So, for an example, one might go into meditation, like come into the present moment, feeling the breath, feeling the body, and then offer themselves phrases of loving kindness. So they might say, "May I be happy." And sometimes I often ask people to put their hand on their heart when they do that, because that it's amazing, that motion sets off a stream of oxytocin in the mind and the body, the happy hormones, the comforting hormones. So just doing that motion and say, "May I be happy," or "May I know happiness," like that. And then there are a series of phrases. It continues from there. "May I be safe." "May I live a life of peace without struggle." "May I open to things just as they are." that's really for me one of the more profound ones, because we can get so caught up in resistance to the way things are, right? So may I open to things just as they are. And the flip side of that phrase, which I really love too, may I experience the world opening to me just as I am. So powerful, right? Yeah,
Can you say that
yeah. And
again?
may I, yeah, right? It's worth saying again. May I experience the world opening to me just as I am. That's, I mean, one
Oh,
could work with that phrase alone for months, you know. And then the last phrase, the way I offer, and it's offered in with different teachers use different phrases. These are the ones that I really find so effective. The last phrase that I use is, may I welcome whatever arises, like that. So
wow.
it's really a practice about breaking down our resistances to the present moment, and cultivating the skill, the ability to welcome and to open to things like that. And it really does. It creates this warmth, this embrace of the present moment. We embrace ourselves in that way, and then we extend it out to loved ones, people we love, our family, our friends. We extend it out. We do generally it goes 2 weeks per stage. So 2 weeks on ourselves, 2 weeks to a loved one, 2 weeks to strangers, people we don't know. That's a great practice too. It's a little more challenging. One can turn on the news and offer it to, see strangers on the news, or just walking down the street. May you experience the world opening to you just as you are. Beautiful. And then we do it to people we have challenges with. We offer loving kindness to people we don't like very much. And of course, that's generally where most of the resistance comes up for people, right? And so we just work
It's
with that
fine.
resistance. Yeah, it's natural to feel resistance to that, and
Yeah.
and that's good. It's good. It's in the noticing the resistance. So as soon as we notice the resistance starts to soften. We start to
Yeah.
allow the river of loving kindness to flow around the resistance, like that. And in that flow, the rock of resistance, that boulder, starts to erode, starts to break down. So allowing the love to flow around it. So, we don't try to push the resistance away or get rid of the resistance. We just continue offer loving kindness around holding the resistance. And then eventually it starts to soften. And it starts to soften because it just feels better to have an open heart than a closed heart. And we start to realize that holding on to that anger towards someone else, or that resistance, or that resentment, it's only it's only bothering our own heart.
Yeah.
They probably don't even know or don't care, right? And
Yeah.
so when we realize that, we're just hurting ourselves by carrying that, then the resistance starts to soften and break down, like that. And that's a beautiful moment, and to feel that. And then we offer loving kindness to the whole entire world, the whole planet, imagining what the planet might look like if we could all experience each other just as we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, those are really, really beautiful things, Chris. Ah,
Thank you.
okay.
Yeah. Mm.
Anyway, is there anyone in the room that wants to ask Chris question? And if not, you can get in touch with Chris. He's on Instagram at Christopher Luward, and then also
Mm-hmm.
www.suchsweetthunder.com. But also,
Oh, I'm
Chris,
sorry. Dot org. .com takes you
.org,
to a Duke
.org.
Ellington record. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you like jazz music, that's great, but it's just not me. It's a good record though.
.org. Chris, what are
Yeah.
your offerings? What are your offerings? For do you offer
Mm,
private sessions? Do you have an upcoming online retreat, in-person
mm.
retreat, anything like
Yeah, well, unfortunately, all the in-person events have been canceled for the foreseeable future. Hopefully, that will change soon. And I'm actually right in the middle of an online retreat on compassion, on the practice of compassion. But I will be opening a third online retreat, or the next online retreat, I should say, on the topic of joy. And it works much in the same way as the loving kindness practice, where we cultivate our own inner joy, and then we extend it out to the world through the same stages, through people we like, people we don't know, people we don't like, and then to the entire world, extending joy everywhere. And so I'm looking forward to that. I think I don't have the dates yet. I think we're going to launch that in July. I usually take a few weeks off after each online retreat. So the compassion retreat finishes in the middle of May. So I'm thinking maybe at the end of June or early July, I'll launch the Joy Retreat. Now, if somebody wants to study with me one-on-one, I also offer one-to-one sessions. And I've been doing so for quite some time, since 2016. I have a pretty healthy student clientele, but if there are others who wish to sign up, I charge on a sliding scale, and nobody's turned away for lack of funds ever. So if, I try to make anything I offer as accessible as possible to the most people as possible. So if anybody is interested in that, they can always message me through Facebook or email me through my website, and we can get you signed up and started. So, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Well,
Thank you.
definitely, Chris, I could feel
Mm,
your loving kindness. I could feel your meta emanate through your words, through
mm,
the offerings, through the methods with which you offer your offerings. And even how, as a meditation teacher, you're like, you offer a retreat and then you rest, you offer a retreat. You are someone whom I see, who is walking the talk,
mm,
and is just there doing the work, and also
mm.
sharing it. And thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for
Ea.
this
Yeah,
conversation.
thank you.
Wait, and one last
Yeah,
question. How does
sure.
your day look like?
My daily schedule, well, it changes, from, but I do try to get in 5 hours of meditation a day. Now, if I have a day filled with teaching and studying, then that doesn't happen. But I try to, I always get in 2 hours in the morning. First thing, I wake up around 4 in the morning, and I always sit from 4:30 to 6:30. That's just a given. That's just a part of my day. Then if I can, I get an hour in after lunch or before lunch, sometime in the noonish area. And then in the evening, I get another 2 hours in, like that.
Wow.
And yeah, for me, that keeps me uh, able to teach. That gives me the room and the capacity to answer questions from my students with, and gives me the groundedness and the capability of fielding any imbalances that might arise from my students and things like that. So I feel that's quite necessary to keep up with my career, my teaching, my writing, and things like that. Now, again, like I said, there are days I'm also studying like quite a bit. I've probably taken off more than I can chew, but I've enrolled in quite a few courses myself. So yeah, I'm still trying to I usually get 5 hours a day still. Sometimes it's less if I have a final exam or a paper due or something like that. Yeah.
Wow,
So
5 hours of meditation. Okay, so for those who are beginning, we're okay with
yeah,
the
don't start
five
with
minutes.
that. Start with 5 minutes. And
Really,
that's where I
5 minutes.
started.
That's the timer.
That's where I started. It's funny because when I talk about starting from the comfort zone and allowing the practice to evolve naturally and grow naturally, that's if I had started with 5 hours, I would have quit the next day.
Yeah, that's true.
And
5 hours.
yeah, but it's really honestly because my practice has always felt like a joy. Like I've always wanted to do it. And when I increased the time from like 2 hours to 3 hours, or when I went from a half an hour to an hour, it was because I wanted to, not because somebody was telling me I ought to. But it was really out of a desire to experience more meditation. It was a joy to do it, and it really should be. I think. I mean, I don't want to lay down shoulds and shouldn'ts, but it really, if it comes from a place of love for the practice and a place of a desire to experience more meditation, then it's going to stick, and I think that's really important. Yeah, yeah.
Those are so,
Mm,
those are beautiful. And my favorite part of an interview day like this is, later on rewatching this video and then like eating and chewing and absorbing and
mm.
metabolizing again the words of the interview. Such as you, the real reason, the personal reason why I'm holding this Kalawakan interviews is I just have people whom I know and really have beautiful conversations with, bring so much
Mm,
insight to the table, and I'm like, I want more people to get to know about this. Um,
mm.
so thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chris. It means so much
Sure,
to
yeah.
you.
And let me just take a moment to thank you too for your amazing work that you're doing, facilitating and teaching people how to be mindful through movement and opening the heart. You're doing really some amazing, beautiful work there, and I wish you all of the best in that, and keep enlightening people.
Mm, thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Wait, just say the
Mhm.
last one. Keep it legal.
Keep it
I'm just
legal.
kidding. We don't want to put here the illegal things. Just joking.
That's for the next one.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, thank you so much. Those who want to be in touch with Chris, he's on Instagram at Christopher Luward, and then
Mhm.
also his website www.suchsweetthunder.org. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Chris.
Thank you,
So
Ea. Mhm.
enjoy the rest of your
Bye.
Sunday.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Mhm.
Thank you.